Besides you.
Um,
Oh. No one?
How much money's in your bank account?
I wish. So, the 100,000 is the number of elephants that were killed in over the span of 3 years. So, poaching is illegally hunting or catching game or fish on land that's not one's own or in contravention of official protection. So, in 2012, 668 rhinos were poached in South Africa, and in January of 2013, it increased to 946. Since 1960, the black rhino population has decreased by 97.6%. During 2014, 1,215 rhinos were killed by poachers in South Africa. This is important to me. I want to pursue a career in wildlife biology to see what I can do to help protect these animals and what we can do to help save them from extinction. Today I'll be informing you about the main causes of poaching, as well as the effects of it on the economy, community, and ecosystems of the places that it's occurring most and why it needs to end. So, spikes in the prices of ivory and rhino horns have increased killings killing of African elephants and rhinoceroses. But this is not just a wildlife poaching problem. It's part of a global illicit trafficking network that empowers violent groups. The booming black market trade is worth hundreds of millions of dollars and is fueling corruption in Africa's ports, custom offices, and security forces. It's providing new revenues for insurgent groups and criminal networks across the continent. Because of this, the number of African elephants killed annually since 2007 has more than doubled to over 30,000, according to Elizabeth Bennett of Conservation Biology. In 2003, the high-quality ivory tusk was worth roughly about $200 per kilogram. Today, the same amount could fetch $2,500 to $3,000 on the black market. Additionally, a kilogram of rhino horn was worth $800 in the 1990s, and today it's more valuable than gold. This is because in Asian cultures, it's seen as a symbol of wealth and power, so they like to put them up in their home to show people that they're all that. For my research, there are 3 apparent effects that come from poaching. On the economy, I'm going to start. So in these African countries, safaris and tourism is a huge foreign currency earners for African countries. For Kenya, for example, makes almost $1 billion annually just on tourism and these safaris. With tourism down because of less animals, the revenue for these countries goes down. However, most poachers are not smugglers, according to Karen Leonhardt of Facts About Poaching. Ivory or rhino horns leaves Africa's parks and reserves and usually are sold or transferred to criminal networks. Brokers and middlemen move the materials across borders and launder associated revenues. These activities are very similar to drug, mineral, or arms trafficking, which obviously no one wants to be present in their community. Which brings us to terror groups. So, terror groups such as Somali Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab are benefiting greatly off of these, off of poaching. Poachers are capable, well-armed, and well-funded. Wildlife rangers in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, and elsewhere are killed every day protecting these animals. For example, Chad in 2012, there was an entire squad of wildlife rangers that were ambushed and murdered by poachers. Furthermore, the ecosystem has a big negative effect from poaching. For example, according to Orietta Estrada of One Green Planet, in Yellowstone, the North American gray wolf was on the brink of extinction due to trophy hunting and poaching. And because of this, elk populations in Yellowstone soared. But because the elk had no natural predators, because the wolf's numbers were so low, they ate nearly all the aspen tree, which drove that to extinction. And this is one of many examples that you'll find in almost every ecosystem that will occur if poaching continues. Some people don't feel the same way about this though. According to Nikki Rust of The Conversation, there's a difference between trophy hunting and poaching. Poaching, according to her definition, is uncontrolled and unmonitored. She says the basic economic fact of rising prices due to high demand and low supply. That means that the rarer an animal gets, the higher the price. Basic economics right there. And the incentive drives poachers to kill as many animals as possible. She argues that trophy hunting, as opposed to poaching, is strictly controlled, monitored, and it's a regulated business. Safari game parks must apply for government-issued permits for the number of animals they wish to hunt. Animals are to be taken if animals are to be taken out of the country, further permits are needed for the transport. So basically, she's saying that killing these animals is fine if it's monitored. But in my opinion, she's trying to rationalize poachers and that controlled poaching, quote unquote, is okay. But it's still killing defenseless animals for sport, and to be quite frank, it's extinguishing the life of a majestic animal for a picture and a rug. So, solutions. Bradley Anderson and Johan Joost from Wildlife Poaching, Africa's Surging Trafficking Threat, say there's 3 main solutions that we can approach to try to stem down this epidemic, if you want to call it that. The first one is stemming the upsurge in demand. The market of illegal wildlife goods is global, including the United States and Europe. The growing numbers of middle and upper class consumers in Asia have also contributed to the jump in prices for ivory and horns. According to previous surveys, 70% of Chinese respondents were not aware that tusks mainly come from dead elephants, according to Li Zhang of Nature.com. So the goal of this is to educate and inform, and hopefully that'll slow down demand. The next solution that Anderson and Joost suggest is strengthening the front lines. Command and control structures are important so these rangers that are out in the field can communicate with others and be repositioned as needed. Furthermore, new equipment is important to enhance the mobility and awareness of these rangers. Small planes, helicopters, UAVs have had positive results in preserves in Chad, Kenya, and South Africa. But above all else, we need well-trained rangers that are willing to do what it takes to save these animals. The third and final solution that Anderson and Joost cover is strengthening investigation and prosecutions. Stronger exchanges with wildlife management agencies should be established so that police and customs know what they're looking for when illegal tusks and horns are being shipped. And when these busts happen, there needs to be a strengthened penalties for wildlife offenses. That's important to combating the illicit trade. So, based on current trends, Africa faces a near future without its most unique and recognizable natural heritage, elephants and rhinoceroses. This is happening as a result of global demand for prestige products and predatory behavior of organized crime groups seeking lucrative profits. Wildlife trafficking no longer is just a conservation problem, but has upgraded to a security problem. African states, along with international agencies, need to act to implement a strategy to slow this fast-moving threat and protect their natural resources for future generations. So what we can do, call, email your congressman, tell them to push for a change. You can find websites to donate to the cause, and let's end this. Thank you.